Please, can you welcome to the stage, representing the Southeast, is Vanessa Madu!
Our story unfolds in the land of cards, where the Queen of Hearts has accused her gardener, the Ace of Spades, of treason. His crime? Toppled tarts. This accusation, however, is based entirely on a mistake of chance. Allow me to take you to the courtroom. The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts one windy winter's day, but out in court she did not know they had been blown away. When she returned, she found her tarts all scattered on the floor. The Queen, enraged, looked for clues, found none, but looked some more. The Queen declared, "This mess of tarts is shaped just like a spade, thus it must be the Ace of Spades by whom I've been betrayed." But the court did not agree with the Queen upon her stance, as the patterns in the tarts were more likely made by chance. The shape alone could not be used to make this accusation, so the court advised the Queen seek more insightful information. So, what happened here? Well, in my hand, I have the scene of the crime. So in her desperation for justice and without any clues, the Queen comes to a questionable conclusion. See, if you look at this and you squint and just tilt your head just so, you will see that these tarts are arranged in the shape of a spade. Oh, don't you see it? Let me help you. See, spade. And therefore, it was the Ace of Spades. Well, of course not. But you have probably used this logic fairly recently. For example, that time that you visited Dr. Google with a slightly sore throat and left convinced you had 3 different cancers, or that other time that you were really in a bad mood and you were sure everyone was looking at you, or the significant proportion of you that have been trying to find the patterns in the keys and clocks in my dress. We often find patterns in random data and give them too much meaning. And that is a common misunderstanding of the place that apparent patterns have in true randomness. But, if there's a pattern, it must mean something, right? Well, let's return to the crime scene. I made this by blowing paper hearts into the air. I did not place them, they landed randomly. But there are clusters, and so it was tempting to try and find patterns. But, and this is important, if you're observing a small number of things, the data that comes from that is likely to cluster simply by chance. And if we don't know that, then we're likely to run the risk of interpreting meaningful patterns where there aren't any. And that can have significant consequences, from exacerbating health anxiety to being used to present misleading news stories and governmental actions. So, as we go from Wonderland back to our normal lives, recall that things governed by chance often do surprise.
Madu, everybody! Surprise! Are you ready for some questions?
Yes.
Sam, do you want to start us off?
Yes, I'm very ready. You've shown us how storytelling can tell us more about statistics as a whole. Where do you think the places of storytelling in your field, and where can people improve in terms of learning to tell stories with their figures?
So as we've been wandering around the Cheltenham Science Festival while we've been here, there was an absolutely fantastic competition that happened for the sort of school children, and they were given a data set and they had to come up with all these creative ways of presenting their data. And I had a look, and so creative and really visual. And I honestly think, real scientists can learn something from that. So presenting data in a way that's intuitive for people to understand, because you can all understand data because you live in it. But if we present it out of your scale or in a way that feels foreign to you, it suddenly is scary and it's like, oh, we don't want to touch that. So I think bringing it to people in a way that they understand, like through Wonderland.
We have a lot to learn from 3-year-olds, I think. John, what do you want to ask?
So, I'm a science rapper, So I use rhythm and rhyme to get things across. And I noticed, obviously, straight up that you started with a poem. You ended with rhyme as well. What led you to use rhyme as a medium of getting it across?
It was to make a point to a friend. I thought, you can take any sort of scientific thing and boil it down enough to make it accessible to anybody. And so I thought, you know what, nursery rhymes, they're like the most basic thing, and children learn language from it. So let's do it through nursery rhymes. And so I wrote one, and now I have many. And so this is just one of them. I think it's a really it's a nice way to express science, I think.
Amazing. I mean, there's a big market for parents out here, I'm just saying. Right, thank you so much. That was Vanessa Madu.